I'm Matt Hildebrand with Don's Appliances, joined by James Hayes from our Cannonsburg location.
Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, James. So when I'm looking, I'm looking for a new washer, right? So a lot of our customers that are out there, they may need to replace a washer. So they're really confused because there's capacities that are 5.0, 5.3, or like on a Speed Queen, it's what, 3.2. You know, is capacity better, or what's the features that people should be looking for? We need to really just hone it down for people just to make it a little bit easier. So how would you do that if I came into the store and I said, look, I need a washer, but I'm overwhelmed by the amount of information?
Sure. So there is a lot of information out there. Sometimes people can get really hung up on capacity, and capacity is important, but then it's not equal across the board. You had brought up Speed Queen, for instance. That's the first comment I get from a lot of individuals is Speed Queen 3.2 cubic feet is too small.
Yep.
But the thing about a Speed Queen top loader is it can do a queen size comforter, where most other brands you need to be about 4.5 cubic feet to fit that. If you're doing king size, we're talking top load right now. The front load's a little different. So for king size, you would probably want to be 5 or plus 5. But then the issue with that sometimes is those tubs are so deep to hit that capacity. If I have a customer who's slightly vertically challenged, they can't reach the bottom.
You need a step stool.
Yeah. So that's you have to kind of find that balance if you're considering top load. Can I reach the bottom of this? Does it hit the capacity that I need? And just because it's 5.5 cubic feet doesn't mean fill that drum all the way to the top either.
So the top loaders are less forgiving when I overload my machine, as most of our customers do.
Yes. So, and that can cause all kinds of issues as far as the machines breaking down prematurely, your suspension system in there. And that's one reason the Speed Queen can do it is it's a commercial unit and it's really set up to handle a heavier cycle. But then when you move the front load's a little bit different because, problem with top load is they're only allowed to use X amount of water and it's never going to fill that whole tub. So I usually tell my customers, fill that tub halfway to 2/3 full, and then that'll help with the wash performance. If you fill it all the way to the top, you may not be super happy with the wash performance. Front load has a different motion, obviously. So you're pulling the water, tossing the clothes like kind of not vertically, but horizontally through the water, and it's pulling it through so you get more contact. So you can kind of load those more. You still have to be cautious about weight. But, where maybe you're maxing out at a queen size comforter at 4.5 cubic feet, I feel like you can do a king size pretty comfortably. Not down. Don't do down in your home washing machines.
What I like when I was on the sales floor, and it's been quite a few years, but one thing that I've always tried to point out is that everybody wants that bigger capacity for the 1 or 2 times a year that they do a comforter. Just like I need the biggest wall oven or biggest range possible for that one time a year that I do a 25-pound turkey.
Yeah.
Well, what about the 99.9% of the rest of the time you're doing laundry?
Sure.
Right? So I think sometimes, to your point, people do get hung up on capacity. And I think, in my opinion, I think that people need to look at the space that they're putting their machine in, whether it makes sense to do a top load or front load, how their lives are in terms of, do I want easy access maybe getting into a top load, or do I want a front load that maybe not quite as easy, but I can always put it up on pedestals, and then obviously budget. I think budget plays a lot because I think top load machines in general price out at a better price point per machine feature-wise versus a front load. Front loads are more expensive.
Typically a couple $100 difference on each unit. And there are some really good values out there. LG has an entry-level unit that's going to be pretty heavily defeatured, but you can usually get that for sub $800 per unit. Where entry-level washing machines, as we sit right here, right now, and they're starting off around $600 a piece. So, that's that it is a $200 swing potentially, but you have to decide which of those two units is going to work better for you. To your point, And if you want the pedestals, you're looking at another $250 to $300 per unit. So that can add up very quickly too.
You know, I have to interject here. I've been in this business. I grew up in this business, and I started on our delivery trucks in the late 80s. And we used to deliver top load Maytag washers, which were 2.8 cubic foot. Those machines back in 1987, average price was $729. So the fact that you know, these are, the new machines are not inexpensive, but at the same token, they haven't gone to the point of really what yesterday's money or 1987's money versus today. Machines are a lot less expensive, a lot more featured. So I just wanted to point that out, that the machines today, there's a lot more features and they're priced much, much better.
Yeah, to that point, my last top load washer I bought was in 2010. It was an LG. I spent like $500 a piece on it. It's pretty comparable to their 6300 set that they have now, which is retails for, or goes on promotion around 5 to 550. So, you know, here we are 15 years later, it's almost the same price.
Yeah, so there's a lot of values out there in washing machines. And the great part about buying from Don's Appliance is that, number one, we've got guaranteed lowest prices. You can go onto our website and see what we have in stock in real time. You can compare us with the box stores, whether it's the Blue Apron, the Orange Apron, or any other store in the region. And then we've got the largest in-stock inventory, and we can get it to you next day. So if you're looking for that large capacity machine, if you're looking for that machine that's going to fit, if you're looking for a cool color, we've got a ton of machines in stock for next day delivery.
100%. I mean, LG brought back the red.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So if you have one of those machines from like 2011 and you love the color, there's options to get it again. So
Yeah, so it's a must to give Don's Appliances a shot for your next laundry purchase, because you know, when you lose a laundry piece, it's something like a refrigerator you cannot live without. You need to get that quickly. And a lot of our competitors in the marketplace, they're good companies, but they don't have the inventory. And they may not give you the best price, and they may not be able to get that delivered next day. We're going to give you great inventory levels. We're going to give you great service. We're going to give you delivery next day. And there's a ton of selections.
yeah, I mean, we have things here that you can't get anywhere else in the area. From, you know, Speed Queen we've talked about. You know, we got Miele front load laundry if you're in a compact space. And then I think the other thing that's really popped up, if we're talking about ease, those all-in-one units are fantastic. You got two of them, right?
I do, and I am a big proponent of the all-in-one units. I've got the GE all-in-one washer-dryer combo, and I will tell you, it's a bit of an adjustment, but I am a big proponent of that. I never liked being chained to the fact that I have to take my clothes out of the washer and put it in a dryer, because nobody ever wants to have that sit there. So that all-in-one unit, it's really something to consider. It takes up less space because you're only going to have one machine versus two. It's a ventless system. It's really where the industry's heading. So be sure to check that out at Don's Appliances. Come into our Cannonsburg location and talk to James or one of our other associates. Thank you for listening, and be sure to go again to donsappliances.com.